Hey guys, it's Dr. Justin Marcagiani here. How are you all doing? We got a live Q&A going here. We're going to dive in just a few minutes and chat here. Before we do, make sure you smash that like button. Give me a thumbs up. Put your comments down below. Let me know any thoughts or questions or any health issues. Please put them down below. Let me know what you think. All right, so 2020 is coming to a close, and almost always the new year is ripe with New Year's resolutions, right? And they tend to start around losing weight, improving health, a very, very important step. So what are the top 3 things that you can do to help attain your New Year's resolution goal in regards to your health? Almost always there's something in regarding weight loss, energy, maybe a cognitive performance enhancement to be better at work, more time with family, etc., etc. So what are the top 3 things that you can do out of the gate? So first off is get good quality water. Get good hydration. Good quality water, clean water, filtered water, extra added minerals. Water and electrolytes are very important. Your body is 70% water. You need electrolytes, sodium, chloride, potassium, magnesium, some calcium to help your nerves function. If you have heart issues, energy issues, your cells need sodium and potassium to have that sodium-potassium pump working. So good quality hydration with good quality minerals, very important. So how much minerals you need a day? So magnesium, you probably need about 400 to 500 milligrams a day of a good quality magnesium, like a glycinate or a malate, maybe a little bit more if it's like a citrate or a lesser quality magnesium. Calcium, probably about the same, 500 to a gram or so of calcium. Sodium, it's pretty easy to get good sodium if you're getting good quality sea salt in. So salt your food liberally, half a teaspoon twice a day in your water is a pretty good way to achieve that. Potassium, about 4,700 milligrams a day. So supplementally, typically maybe an extra 500 milligrams to a gram is adequate. If you're getting a potassium, there's 20% right there. And then you get about 500 milligrams per good quality green vegetable. And then, of course, things like salmon and mushrooms and high-quality grass-fed beef will also have a little bit as well. So water and electrolytes, very important. That'll help your heart working, your nerves working. When you have a lot of adrenal issues, it's hard to hold on to minerals, so you could be losing and peeing out a lot of your minerals, and that could be an issue. So if you have anxiety, palpitations, low blood pressure, you stand up fast, you feel a little dizzy, those could all be symptoms of minerals and hydration. So make sure you're hydrating good, clean, filtered water with good minerals on top of that. Next, I would say get your carbohydrates down. Most people, their carbohydrates are too high. There's insulin resistance. Insulin resistance is going to drive more inflammation. You're going to have extra fluid retention, which isn't good. You're going to have more inflammation. You're going to have more atherosclerosis because insulin is going to drive more inflammation in the arterial system, in the cardiovascular system, and that's going to cause more potential blockages and inflammation and more plaques being laid down. So you really want to get your carbohydrates in check. I tell my patients starting out, if you have any type of weight issues, just focus on eating vegetables. Imagine, this is my iPad here, but imagine this is a plate. Imagine this whole plate should be about 75 to 80% full of green vegetables. The other 20%, maybe some low sugar fruit, right? Berries, green apple, those kind of things. So imagine 80% green vegetables, 20% fruit, right? And then the others are going to be protein and fat, right? How much protein? A palm, a fist to a full hand of protein, depending on how active you are, how much weights you're lifting. And then the fats are usually going to be in the protein if we're choosing high quality, full fat protein sources. Or if it's leaner, right, boneless, skinless chicken breast, we may add a tablespoon of some high quality fat on top of our veggies to compensate, right? So getting your macros, getting your carbohydrates in check. The second thing, or the third thing on top of that, I would say improve the food quality. So we talked about dropping the carbs, which is going to help with insulin and inflammation. We talked about hydration and minerals. The third thing would be is increase your food quality. Try to eat more organic. So there's a couple ways to do it. So if you're already a standard American, just try to shoot for free range. At least get the antibiotics out, get the hormones out, get something that's at least going to be a little bit more natural, a little better quality, right? So at least a step 1 to 2 in whole foods is a pretty good approach. Ideally, full organic's ideal. So step 2 in whole foods usually organic. On the beef side, it's going to be grass-fed, maybe not 100% grass-finished though, right? So at least a step 1, organic, or at least a natural free range, which tends to mean less hormones, less antibiotics, some movement options outside of the cage, right? And ideally, if you're already doing that, try to shoot for full organic, try to shoot for pasture-fed at least 80% of the time, right? High quality grass-fed beef, Try to do, step 4 at Whole Foods is ideal if you can, at least step 2. And then try to choose your vegetables, make them organic. If you're on a budget, shoot for frozen organic vegetables. That's not bad, right? Shoot for at least do cheaper cuts. Do chicken thighs over chicken breasts. And again, I like the thighs better than the breast anyway. They're just a lot more fat in there, and they're a little bit cheaper. I love the skin on them. Choose high quality frozen wild sockeye salmon. You can get some good deals at Costco on that. Choose some canned tuna fish. Skipjack tuna is really good. It's got a really high selenium to mercury ratio, so way high selenium in relation to mercury. So selenium naturally chelates mercury, so you can bump up your good quality micronutrients, your omega-3s, your selenium. You don't have to worry about as much of the mercury issues when you're doing a high quality fish that is a really good selenium to mercury ratio. So out of the gates, first 3 things, right? Water and electrolytes, getting insulin down and get your carbs down, right? And then the third thing is going to be improve food quality. Organic as much as possible, at least go free range. And if you're on a budget, try to go frozen on the vegetables and try to at least choose natural free range on the meats and just choose some of the cheaper cut meats out of the gate. That's a really good first step out of the gate that'll help you out. And then if you really want to kind of fine tune around the edges, you can always add in some digestive support. If you're having a hard time with protein and fat, you can always add in some extra nutrition, whether it's magnesium or potassium or a good micromineral support, a good multivitamin, something that has good Bs, good full spectrum of minerals, zinc, selenium, magnesium. Very important support there. And of course, a good omega-3 if we want to really add in some extra good anti-inflammatory support and good micronutrients. And if you want to dive in with someone like myself, a good functional medicine doctor, I'm available worldwide virtually. If you want to reach out, click down below to access myself and my colleagues. And let's dive into some of your questions, you guys. What's happening? Okay, good. What's a good dose of vitamin C per day for general health? 1 to 2 grams is pretty good. If you really want to, if you know you're getting exposed to something or you could be sick, you can always do what's called a vitamin C calibration. Dose it up till your stools get loose and then pull back till they solidify, just enough till they solidify. But usually 1 to 2 grams is pretty good, especially if you're eating lots of good fruits and vegetables. And then if you're under immune stress, you can do a vitamin C calibration. Good question. Got a vitamin D tested because it's a 133 lately, feeling a lump in the throat. Could I possibly have an issue with calcium, fasting insulin, 3.5? Now, that's pretty good. Vitamin D's at 133. That's a little bit high. So I'd pull back on your vitamin D right now. Lump in the throat, it's hard to say what that could be. It could be a little bit of a cold coming on. Could be a little thyroid flare. You can always do some zinc lozenges and some ginger tea with some manuka honey and see how much that clears it. Rashawn writes in, if blood test indicates normal magnesium and zinc levels, would you still recommend supplementing them? Well, it depends what you mean by blood levels, right? Because most blood is going to be a serum-based test, so you never want to base it off a serum. You want to do a RBC or an intercellular test. So the RBC magnesium we want at least, I think, in the mid-4s. So that's a pretty good rule of thumb. I think taking a little extra magnesium here or there is still good to deal with stress and mood. If you ever get too much, you just get loose stool, so not that big of a deal. And zinc in general, I'd say 20 to 30 milligrams a day is okay to supplement on top of that. If you're doing lots of meat and high quality grass-fed meat and seafood, you're probably okay, but a little extra is fine. And of course, if you get if you get a little sick, some zinc lozenges are extra helpful on that. I heard a chiropractor say that women need 2 hours of sleep more than men per night. Why is that? I don't know if that's true. I think it depends. If a woman's pregnant, for sure, they may need 12 hours per night. Right now, my wife sleeps a little bit more than me, but she's also up a little bit. It depends. If you go look at the studies on oxytocin, a breastfeeding mom caring for a young child, they can actually go on less sleep because oxytocin helps them deal with sleep deprivation. So I think it depends upon their health. A healthy woman will need, can do more things than a healthy man and vice versa. So the health of that person makes a huge difference. So I would say that's up in the air, more individual. What blood test would be useful as a first step to assess weakness in general immune health? I mean, you could do a general CBC and look at white blood cells. If you see white blood cells below 4.5, there could be some immune deficiencies there. A CD57 below 100, there could be some issues there. That'd be a good kind of general health. Any gut issues, because so much of your immune system's in your gut. If you have any chronic gut issues or gut health issues, that could be a problem and could mean some immune issues going on there. Is there any difference between a hair or blood mineral test in terms of accuracy? I mean, I like blood because it's got to get from the blood all the way down into the hair, into the skin, into the nail. So hair is just kind of more of a downstream indicator. I like going upstream, so an intercellular kind of nutrient or mineral panel will be much better, much more accurate, because you got to absorb it all too. So I think blood's much better. What's your opinion on chewing nicotine gum to suppress hunger and fatigue? Well, nicotine is bumping up dopamine. So personally, I use my Dopa Replete Plus or Dopa Replete, which is tyrosine or L-Dopa, Mucuna, quercetin, green tea, B6, and provide the actual building blocks. Dopamine, or I should say nicotine, does increase dopamine levels, but I prefer to do it with the natural building blocks and raw material nutrients. Great, good question so far. All right, where was I at here? Boyfriend has really low cortisol, doing Redmond's Real Salt, quality proteins, food, and his GI is pretty clean, always dealing with nasal congestion, coughing, already on rinses and ginger and NAC, but constant mucus. So there's probably something going on in his gut that's really driving some problems going on, something inflammatory going on with his gut, and that the whole gut mucus membrane chain is connected. So if he's doing NAC and ginger, you could always add in the Rescue formula by Exlier, which is helpful. There could be some biofilms or some mold stuff going on. Also, if it's chronic, you may want to look at upgrading the air filtration, improving air quality in the home, making sure there's no mold in the home either. Because if it's constant mold or constant poor air quality, that could be a problem. So do a high quality mold test in the home and maybe get a high quality air filter. Like I recommend the HealthMate Plus or the HealthMate by Austin Air. We'll put a link down below for that. That's helpful. Is taking potassium chloride a good idea when having constipation issues? I eat a banana and avocados and still having issues. Yeah, you probably want to look at HCl levels and gut dysbiosis imbalances. That could be a bigger issue. Dr. J, what do you think about using rhodiola for boosting serotonin? Yeah, it definitely helps. It has some natural MAO benefits, basically prolonging serotonin between the synapses. So rhodiola can do that. So can other adaptogenic herbs. That's great. If suspecting a thyroid issue for female in their 40s, you get diet is dialed in, starting with more cruciferous veggies and DIM, a good idea to see if they feel better. Well, I mean, DIM's going to help if like there's estrogen dominance issues. So if there's estrogen dominant issues, like if I run a Dutch test and I see higher levels of estrogen, we'll do some of those kind of things to help decrease estrogen levels and improve estrogen detoxification. But we also want to get to the root cause, right? So if there's extra hormones in the meats, plastic exposure, pesticide exposure, those kind of things, soy exposure, phytoestrogens, then we always work on the root, but it can't hurt to also support detoxification too. Have unexplained digestive issues and took digestive enzymes and keep gaining weight. Is that normal? Before I could gain a pound. Before that, I couldn't gain a pound. Hard to know. I mean, I guess if the weight gain is good or bad, it's hard to say. So if the weight gain is good, that's a good sign that you're digesting and absorbing things. If it's bad weight, I would just make sure the food is good quality, kind of paleo, and dial in the macros. Which essential oil would be good for a steam inhalation during infection? I mean, you could do grapefruit seed extract. That'd be fine. You could do peppermint, would probably be good as well. Those would be two good ones right there. What's your opinion on oil of oregano? So I like it. I mean, I use it in my GI Clear 5. It's a 75% carbachol extract. Oil of oregano is very potent and can have incredible antimicrobial benefits, very strong too. So I like it. I use it in my GI Clear 5, and I'll use it for parasites at high doses as well as yeast overgrowth too. If a person has blastohominis and a staph infection and malabsorption takes place and red blood cell, white blood cell platelets drop, and weight is losing continuously, then where to start, how to gain weight. So the first thing you got to work on it's the 6 R's, right? But the first 2 R's are removing the bad foods and really getting the digestion to improve. So really getting the bad foods out, improve nutrient density, and or pre-digest the food. So look at getting an Instapot or breaking that food down, adding in enzymes, adding in acids, really working on digesting those foods better. It's going to really help your ability to break down and digest those foods. Any guidance on nebulizing iodine for active infections? So for infections, if it's a nasal or respiratory infection, you may want to look at nebulizing silver. That can be helpful, or doing a silver flush. So you can get like a saline solution, like Nettie Exlier makes one. and you can add a little tablespoon or so of silver, and you can do a silver flush up one nose, blow the nose, and do the other nose. And that can help if there's any biofilms or bacteria or yeast. So silver is great. You can add some iodine in there too. It's really good for any sinus infections. The xylitol in there also helps break up biofilms too. So that's a really good first step. All right, guys, I got to run. It was great chatting with you. You guys have an awesome rest of 2020. I'll be back on New Year's Day bringing great content to y'all. Have a excellent 2020 and close out the year strong. Take care, y'all. Bye now. Take care, Facebook.